All right. Thanks so much, guys, for logging into this pipeline Q&A. I've asked Susan and Christina to jump on with me just because they work pipeline a lot more than I do. So I figured they'd bring some value to this class as well. Before we kind of like run through some stuff, mainly what like Susan and Christina maybe do on pipeline, I wanted to open this class up and give you guys the ability to ask questions and get some answers if there's some things that aren't making sense with pipeline. So that's where I want to start first. You can start off with anything that you might have. It can be for new agents or even seasoned agents. So yeah, just hit me with it. If anybody has anything.
I'm okay.
Okay. Have you been using pipeline a lot, Claire?
I mean, a little bit, yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Thomas, can't hear him.
Yeah. Thomas, do you have any questions about pipeline? I know you haven't really like had the opportunity to use it yet, but we can show you anything that you might need.
Does he know how to add a transaction?
Probably not. I mean, I know I showed him, but he probably doesn't remember.
Yeah. Probably be the first thing.
Mm-hmm. He's probably on the phone or something too. So, okay. So if nobody has any questions, then I'm going to try to hit, I'm going to turn it over to Susan first for listings, and then we're going to turn it over to Christina kind of for the sales side. And they can just kind of explain what they look for, what they do, some different fields that are important on each side of those, as well as, you know, if you guys think of something, just holler and we can walk through it too. So Susan, hit me with some listing stuff that you got.
Okay, so.
And I can pull up one too if you need me to.
Can you go to add a transaction?
Mm-hmm.
Top right.
Sorry.
In the blue.
Yeah. It's a new layout. Okay, add a transaction.
Okay, so what I wanted you to know is what makes it easier for Christina and I when you add a transaction. The more detail you can give us, the better. For example, when you're in transaction name or property address, obviously put the last name of your client, and then give us the full property address. And what I mean by that is street address, city, zip code, and county, all of that. Because we're going to be looking at the contracts to confirm, you know, we're going to be cross-referencing that information. Also, put the MLS number in and be sure that that's correct, because we're going to be using that as well when we're verifying or checking the documents.
Can I interrupt you for just a second on that, Susan? So just so you guys know, because I like to give little sneak peeks into stuff that's happening in these classes, give you guys some value. And yesterday I had a meeting with Jeff and Jason for a new program that we're going to have, which is called Move Easy. And it's like a full concierge service for agents to use. It's free. It's really cool. I'll have more information coming out on that, but it works with Paperless Pipeline. So when an agent gets a new client and uploads this into Paperless Pipeline, it's going to pull from Paperless Pipeline. So it's another important reason of why we need the full property address, MLS, stuff like that. So just a little fun fact.
The other things that are helpful, obviously the listing date, you know, as much information as you can fill in is appreciated for us to check documents. You can talk at any time. Also the seller's name or the buyer's name. And if you'll put in their name as it appears on the contracts, it's really helpful for us.
This would also include trusts as well, right? Like, so if your seller is actually like a trust, put in the trust name or the LLC or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, any of that, any information is helpful for us. Okay, so once you do that, I I think that if you put in a listing contract or you put in a sales contract, you will see, maybe mark it as listing and then it'll pop up.
When you guys add yourself to your own transaction, just type in your name and hit which side you're representing. And then what do you want?
Go ahead and add it and then.
Well, I'll just cancel it because I don't want Linda to have to.
Oh, right.
Oh, you can delete it? Okay, cool.
Did you give it a status?
No.
There you go.
Listing.
Yeah.
Okay. There we go.
Okay, so you can see on the screen that now the Remax Lotto checklist, listings checklist is there. You know, honestly, you guys, those are the documents I'm looking for. But as you may or may not know, this is your file cabinet for this property. You can upload anything you want in there. I'm not going to be reviewing anything other than what's on this checklist.
Any questions regarding the listing checklist? Let's do a couple like things that you see that I can think of, Susan, based off of this checklist. So, you know, when you're looking for the lead-based paint disclosure built before 1978, are you seeing like any issues with those? Okay, what's those?
Okay, so a couple things. The lead-based paint disclosure, hang on a minute. The lead-based paint disclosure, I just want you to know that I'm looking at your listing contract and I'm looking to see what you check off on there. If you check off that it requires a lead-based paint disclosure, I'm going to be looking for it. If you check that it doesn't need one, I'm going to look at your MLS data sheet and check for the date that it was built. I'm also, if there's a seller's disclosure, I'm going to look on page 1 to see when the property was built. So if there is a contradiction there, I might call you and ask if you're going to have a lead-based paint disclosure. And so I do cross-reference all of those documents to figure out, you know, whether it needs one or not, whether it needs a lead-based paint.
What about the yes, no on agency relationships?
It should always be yes or no. It should never be not applicable.
Yeah, right here. Yes or no, not applicable.
Yeah.
And then what about handwriting versus typing?
I mean, we all prefer typing, but sometimes when you go on a listing call, if you have the contract and you handwrite it right there, that's fine too. Just be as legible as possible. Just
remember for any of our new agents that you can't have, like if you type out a contract, it has to all be typed, or, you know, if you handwrite it, all has to be handwritten. You can't have a mixture of both. So if you do, you're going to have to get initials from all of your clients on those forms. Okay, anything else with listings? Now that we have some new people joining too, does anybody have any paperless pipeline questions? Josie, Jean?
Anyone? There are a couple other documents that people upload that I find common issues with.
Okay.
So one of them is the listing contract amendment. I have one here. I don't know what you guys can see, but I have the listing contract amendment here. And the issues I see that are common is on line 4, it actually reads listing contract between owner and realtor dated, and then there's a blank. So what I'm looking for on line 4 is that date is the date that listing contract was dated. So if you'll cross-reference that when you're filling in the blank, because I'm going to put a note on it if it doesn't match the listing contract. The other thing is when you're uploading a listing contract amendment, you know, fill in all the blanks. The effective date should be filled in, which is line 24. Also, the MLS number should be filled in. You know, again, give me as much information as you can. The second document is agreement to withdraw. So obviously this one is used when you're going to withdraw a contract or terminate a contract. And again, the same statement is on line 9, listing contract between owner and realtor dated the blank. It should match the listing contract. So just read the wording really closely and make sure that you have the correct date in there. And give me the MLS number. That's really helpful for me. The other part of that is on line 39 and 40. You might hold that up really close. This is not your signature. It's Jeff Krantz's signature and name printed. This is a common confusion with that line. So it's any withdrawal of a listing should be signed by the broker, Jeff Krantz.
Anything else listing wise?
Those are the biggest, that's the most confusion I see as far as the documents going in. As far as a withdrawal, I think all of you may or may not know, but I withdraw your listings from Matrix. So if you have a withdrawal that is time sensitive and you need that done right away, you can email me and let me know, and you can upload or attach the withdrawal to your email, and I can get that done for you right away if it's urgent. So it's okay to do that and make sure I see it as fast as possible.
Awesome. Does anybody have any questions on the listing side of things, or how to do something in Pipe? Okay. Before I turn it over to Christina for her side, just a couple things that I thought about while Susan was talking was, so again, just a reminder that this platform for any new agents listening is just a giant filing cabinet. That's how we like to talk about it. So don't be afraid of uploading any piece of paper that you have with your particular transaction, you know, just to hang on to it, have a copy of it, use it to email, or add notes to your clients in each of your transactions. You can do that. So don't be afraid. Nobody else is watching it besides us admin. So it's not going to hurt anything if you want to utilize more of it to just house all of those transaction papers.
Yeah.
The other thing I wanted to just remind everybody too, especially you new agents that might watch this, is when you receive a note from Christina, Susan, Linda, or I, who's looking at your documents, you know, try not to take that too personally. We try to, you know, add a smiley face or something every once in a while, but honestly, it's just to help you make sure that you have everything that you need before you hit a closing table. So, you know, whether that be fixing a line item on a particular document or adding signatures or doing something that we put in those messages, just know that that is just to help you guys. So don't take it personally. And now I'm going to turn it over to Christina for anything that she might have on the sales side. Ooh. And we're going to also watch Susan get knocked out.
You okay?
I'm good.
Okay, so whenever we change the status of a transaction from listing to either pending or contingent, that top checklist there on the left is going to generate. Those are all of the documents that could potentially be in your transaction that we would need to close. So your sales contract, the broker relation, which is going to be in your sales contract. If it's a condo, we're going to need the condo writer to the sales contract. All of those documents are pending or regarding the sales contract. If you have a residential offshore that has nothing to do with lakefront property or a condo, I go in and I'll delete those out because obviously you're not going to have those documents in your transaction. So a good reference for what you have in there and what you still need is going to be that pending checklist. Again, we check the lead-based paint. I'll pull up the MLS and look to see if it was built prior to 1978. And then if it If it was billed after 78, I'll just delete that out of there.
Mhm.
So nobody needs to look for that because there's no purpose for it.
Remember? It has to be dated on the date of the sales.
Yeah. The lead-based pay disclosure needs to be dated the day of the sales contract. That's
Good
a
reminder.
pretty big audit issue. That's not just a Remax issue, that's an audit issue. After you have your sales contract uploaded, that's when you're gonna send me your closing cover sheet. Once I get the closing cover sheet, I take that information that's on there and I will upload it into our accounting system, which is what we use to cut your commission checks. I will then take that closing cover sheet and upload it into public docs. You, at the time of closing, you'll print that closing cover sheet out, or if you have it saved on your desktop or wherever you had it, that's fine. But you'll print that out and you'll give me a copy of that with your check. That's all I need for you to physically hand me. Everything else should be in pipeline already. Your closing docs, your sales contract, everything that you need to close that transaction should be in pipeline. If you are still missing something and you hand me your check, I won't cut your check until everything is in there. So it's important to make sure that you're looking at your checklist and making sure that you've got everything uploaded. When I am doing the closing, I'll change the status of the transaction from contingent or pending to closed. When I change it to closed, that's when the closed checklist populates. And then those are the documents that I'm going to be looking for in order to close the transaction completely. So I'll need your HUD statements from the title company, the bill of sale, the warranty deed, and I'll need those 3 documents. Unless it's a vacant land, I'll need those 3 documents for every single transaction. If there's a condo, I have to have the condo resale cert from the title company or from the condo complex, wherever that is. The referral agreement and the W-9 form, those should be uploaded into pipeline, but you should also be giving me those with your check at the time of closing if you have a referral. We require that W-9 and the referral agreement with the accounting software that we use to cut your check. So we need the information that's on there in order to close. So it's important that, again, I won't close the transaction and cut your check until we have all of these documents in pipeline.
Christina just asked, or I'm sorry, Claire just asked, what's FWP under disclosures?
For your protection, that's the inspection part of the Remax disclosures form.
Which is that new disclosures form that we came up with. It's under the reference tab. It ties in the wire fraud for your protection and franchise disclosure all together in one form. Just to clarify on a couple things that you pointed out that I think are really important that I just want to reiterate again for anybody watching. So in order for Christina to begin her auditing process on your sales side of things, she has to get that closing cover sheet. So that just tells her that you are ready for her to audit. A couple other things that you had mentioned, Christina, the referral agreement and W-9, you'll see that on your pending checklist as well as the closing checklist. Correct me if I'm wrong, but them getting it to you even in that pending stage is pretty helpful, correct? So, and if you don't get that right away, make sure that you turn it in with all of the title stuff that you get from the title company before you give it to her to close. I just think those are really big points and I feel like they get overlooked a lot. So I just wanted to.
Another issue with the W-9 and the referral agreements, those need to be dated pretty much according to your contract. The W-9 needs to be current within the year, preferably no older than the year. I won't take it. I'll make you go back and get a new one. The referral agreement should be pertaining to those clients. So those are things that I do look at when it's time to close. So if you just are reusing the same W-9 over and over again because you have somebody that gives you multiple referrals, that's all well and good, but you do need to make sure that it is current.
Okay, so I see wire fraud and I see our new disclosure they don't have to have both, right? Or
No.
how does that work?
Some people are still using the old wire fraud form,
Mhm.
just especially if they're just on the list side, they don't necessarily need the FOIA protection. We would prefer that you use the disclosures form, the new one that we have, because it does encompass the franchise disclosure as well. I know some people still just prefer to use that wire fraud form if they are on the list side, which again, that's fine, as long as you're having the conversation regarding wire fraud with your client and they've signed off saying such. That's fine. We don't have the old wire fraud form or the FOIA protection, I don't think, still up under the reference tab. So
Right.
we would prefer that you use the disclosure form since it does encompass all of that information. But if you're old school and you prefer that wire fraud form and that's what you have, I will take that.
I also wanted to point out under your reference tab, guys, in case you didn't know, there is a referral agreement for an outside agent, an inside agent, and also a W-9 blank copy to send to the agent that you're referring to with the referral agreement outside. I think there might be even another W-9 for even internal referrals. So those are all here in that reference tab to avoid.
I will make the point that referrals, inside or outside, need to be signed by Jeff Krantz. That he's a designated broker. However, if you are getting a Referrals Unlimited referral, that needs to be signed by George Bogema.
Right, and that's right here for Referrals Unlimited.
And if you need more help understanding those, you can give us a call at the office. We can help you with which form you need to use.
There's also the closing cover sheet in here. This is the new disclosure, I think, right here.
Yeah.
This is that new disclosure that we were talking about that encompasses it all. So those are all in the reference tab for you guys to take and print. They're also on the resource site. Here's also some different examples of that broker relationship. If you guys are ever curious about that, these are just examples of that. But you can find a lot of what you need form-wise in the reference tab, right? Okay.
You know, it's also helpful if you are the listing side to upload the MLS data sheet into Pipeline for us. I think Christina uses it, and so do I. The actual MLS sheet.
Anybody got any questions so far?
I will say that when we leave a comment on the on a document, if you forgot to check a box or something like that, if you go in and you fix that box and then you re-upload or whatever, we can remove the old one. You just need to let us know to remove it. Or we can keep that in there so that you have a copy of every change that you had to make. However you want to do it, you just need to let us know how you want it. Also, on the same note, if we make a comment on one of your documents, I lost my train of thought.
That's okay. That's
like
okay.
for instance, if you upload something that like a buyer's agency and you forgot to get Jeff's signature on it, and we put on there needs Jeff's signature, you then need to go and have that either DocuSigned or signed by Jeff. We don't print that out and then take it to Jeff for you or anything like that. So we can tell you like box 438 needs to be checked or yada, 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 but we can't tell you how to fill out your contract. So if you have questions pertaining to that, then you need to, get in touch with your team leader, your broker, whoever you can, but we can only tell you something is missing. We can't tell you how to fix it.
I have a question for this Q&A for the both of you ladies, because it comes up a lot when we have a new agent. It's just funny because everybody prefers it differently. So when you have an agent uploading to Pipeline all of their documents, do you prefer them to break it apart in each individual document or have it all uploaded into one file?
I personally prefer them broken apart.
I will say that I know there's an admin that will take all of the sale, like everything that pertains to the sales contract, like the seller's disclosure, the condo writer to sales contract. They'll upload everything that pertains to that sales contract into one file, which is all well and good. That's fine. And then, anything else is all separate or broken out or whatever. I like it broken out, but honestly, I'm checking it either way. So it doesn't matter to me.
Same for me. I'm going to check it either way.
Yeah, so if you guys want to break them apart, you can. If you want to upload them all in one running file, you can do that too, whichever helps you save time as the agent. So, What about some tips and tricks with pipeline? Like you can email out, like we were talking about. You can add other people to the transaction. I mean, what do you guys?
The number one thing that I think is helping a lot of people, especially newer admin, is if you are uploading something and you realize, oh, this agent forgot to do, or the earnest money was turned in too late.
Mhm.
So you leave a comment on the earnest money receipt that's uploaded in that says, I will be getting an amendment. That saves me from telling you, hey, I need an amendment for this.
Oh yeah, that's
So
nice.
if you let me, prior to me checking the document, if you let me know that you understand that something is missing, then I don't have to go back and tell you that something's missing. I'm not gonna comment on your comment.
Yeah.
That's 10 business days too, correct? For any new agent?
No, it's 5 business days for residential,
Mm.
and then 10, I believe, for commercial.
Okay.
The
updated
last time
that.
they updated the sales contract, they switched it to 5.
Okay, so that's another key thing for your earnest money, 5 business days. It has to be within 5 business days of the date, right? So.
I had a question, and this has come up before. Okay, so say Remax Lake of the Ozarks is the listing side and the sales side. Whose responsibility is it to do the closing cover sheet?
Oh, we get that one a
The
lot.
listing.
I think, yeah, that's what I thought. It's the listing agent side.
Mhm. Listing agent side does the closing cover sheet. Although I guess it could be argued that the sales side then initiates that process. And like we were saying, if Christina doesn't know to audit something until she gets the closing cover sheet, well then on the sales side, can't do the closing cover sheet till you have the contract. So just food for thought.
Yeah.
I will say that the sooner you let us know, like if you're on the listing side and you get a sales contract within another Remax, like if it's Signature and Jane Kelly, the sooner you let us know to add the other team to the transaction, then we'll know to look for a list or for the closing cover sheet. But we won't. The listing agent is usually the one that's responsible for turning in the closing cover sheet to me. They're also responsible for adding the other team to the transaction. So if you ask me to add you to a transaction, or let's say the list side's team Jane Kelly, and Signature calls and asks me to add them to the transaction, I'm gonna check with Lori before I just add people to that transaction. So the list agent needs to be, or the listing side needs to be the one to add you to the transaction and to give me the closing cover sheet.
Should we scroll down and show them maybe, or edit the transaction?
Yep.
When we're talking about adding the other team, you just got to start typing in their name
And some teams have multiple people that need to be added, but I mean, they should let you know when it's time to add people to the team or to the transactions.
Right, and that's something that you ladies can help with too. Meaning like a primary agent doing something with a team might not know to add everybody. So we typically try to help with that, or the team admins do a great job as well.
Oh, I know what I wanted to talk about. Unassigned.
Oh yeah, unassigned. Real quick before we get there, one thing I wanted to show you guys too on the screen for any agent that does not know this, especially new. Up here, you can see it has its own email like address to each transaction. So if you read this, it says email docs and notes to this transaction. So you can literally copy this email and then email yourself or send an email to this email address listed, and it will put that document into this transaction. So just a helpful hint that every transaction has its own unique email for ease of use or quick scanning or uploading or whatever. All right, unassigned. Now, you guys don't typically, you guys don't have access to this like we do because we're admin, but it is really important to talk about.
Yeah, so if you email documents, if you highlight that at the top, see that email address. So if you scan documents and upload them into that unassigned document email, they're just going to sit there until you assign them. You'll see that there are several sitting there, not assigned. So sometimes they are forgotten.
Mhm.
They're put there and nobody ever comes back for them. So if I contact you and say, hey, you have something sitting there, that's if it's over a month old, I might contact you and ask if you would like me to delete those documents from that.
That's good. Anything else? Anybody got any questions?
I need stuff for you.
All right, guys. Well, if you don't have any questions, I can't really think of anything else that we need to cover. Can you, Christina? Okay. So if you do have specific questions about pipeline or something that you would like to touch on one-on-one, please let me know. Thank you for coming and helping me talk about this. And again, just reach out to us if you need any help. Hope you guys have a great day. Thanks, Claire.
Um,